At last, the dream of building a new, spacious home was finally becoming a reality, and I was filled with excitement, eager to start this new chapter in our lives. But just as we were about to celebrate, an unexpected twist threw me off course. My in-laws appeared at our doorstep, unannounced. With a firm tone, they declared, "We're moving in," and added that my parents needed to leave. I froze, completely caught off guard, and turned to my husband for support. He let out a long breath and said softly, "Please, just do as they ask, gently let your parents know." As I watched my in-laws eagerly unpacking, turning what was supposed to be our new home into their own, I felt a surge of disbelief and frustration. "Do you realize this is our house?" I asked, hoping they might understand the gravity of the situation. "I'm Tiffany, 32, and married to my wonderful husband, Jesse, for 4 years. We've built a life filled with love and mutual support, though we don't have children yet. Recently, however, I've become more concerned about my aging parents, whose declining mobility has been weighing on me. I suggested to Jesse that we move in with them to provide the care they need." Without hesitation, he agreed. "It's a win-win," he said. "We support them, and it gives us peace of mind." I couldn't have been more grateful for his understanding. We started discussing this idea, but soon realized the logistics were a challenge. My parents live far outside the city, and with neither of us driving, commuting would be tough. Moving them to our cramped city apartment wasn't an option either. It was already too small for just the two of us, let alone more people, and with the possibility of children in the future, the space issue would only grow. After a lot of thought, I proposed a bold idea. Why not build a new home that could comfortably accommodate everyone? Jesse's face lit up. "That's an amazing idea," he exclaimed, and we began planning our dream home. When I shared the idea with my parents, they initially felt guilty about the potential disruption, but once I explained the reasoning behind it, their hesitation melted away, and excitement took over. That was a huge relief. Later, Jesse and I visited a real estate agency to finalize the details. We focused on finding a location near hospitals for my parents' convenience and close to train stations for easier commuting. Throughout the planning stages, I sensed some reluctance from my parents about the idea of living with us. Thankfully, Jesse stepped in with thoughtful suggestions that helped smooth over their concerns. As we progressed, the vision of our new home started to take shape, and the excitement became palpable. After extensive research and discussions, we finally had our plans ready to move forward. "We're almost there," I said, acknowledging how complex the process was. "Balancing all this with work certainly slows things down," Jesse added, but both of us were thrilled with the outcome so far. The blueprint we had worked so hard to create was beyond what we'd imagined. After consulting real estate agents and gathering information, we were finally ready to move forward with the builders. Now, we just had to wait for our dream home to be built, a long process, but one we eagerly anticipated. However, as our project progressed, my in-laws began to show an increasing interest. "Dear, we heard you're building a new house. Is that true?" they asked one day. "Yes, that's right. We're hoping to finish by the end of the year," I replied. "How wonderful. We're so impressed with how Jesse's been handling everything and keeping us in the loop," they said, their tone warm and complimentary. At first, their enthusiasm seemed genuine, but little did I know how this would all unfold. When my mother-in-law suddenly expressed an eagerness to visit us soon, I was taken aback but agreed, excited about the opportunity to catch up. That weekend, my husband and I set out for a trip to their place. They greeted us warmly, and the conversation quickly turned to our new home project. "Building a new house is such an exciting time, isn't it?" my father-in-law remarked, his tone nostalgic, as though reflecting on his own experiences. "Yes, we're thrilled," I replied. "We just hope everything goes smoothly so we can move in as soon as possible." We all shared a laugh, looking forward to the exciting journey ahead. Curious, my mother-in-law asked, "Can we see the blueprints?" My husband pulled out his phone and showed them a photo of the design. "Oh, it's so spacious," she observed, "and so many rooms." "Yes, we're planning to live with my parents, so we needed the extra space," I explained, trying to keep it casual. Both in-laws exchanged a surprised glance. "You're all moving in together?" they asked in unison. "Yes," my husband replied. "My parents are getting older, so we decided it would be best for all of us to live together, which led to building this house." Their expressions shifted subtly, and I noticed a hint of discomfort in their voices. "Really? I see," they said, their tone now more measured. Feeling the tension rise, I quickly changed the subject. "How have you two been? How's your health?" "We're doing well, no major changes, just the usual," they replied, but I could tell the curiosity about our plans hadn't quite left. "Tell us more about the new house," they pressed. "Which room will your parents use?" As my husband pointed to the blueprint and explained, I could sense the shift in the atmosphere. He didn't seem to notice, but I could see their faces tightening as they processed the information. Despite their discomfort, we continued discussing the layout, hoping our shared excitement about the new home would ease their concerns. As the construction of the house moved forward, I couldn't help but worry that my in-laws might feel overlooked or that we were favoring my parents. Though I felt a slight pang of guilt, I hoped they would understand our decision. given my parents' needs, but it was becoming clear that they were struggling to accept it. The house was nearing completion, and each visit brought us closer to our dream home. My husband, like me, was eager to move in, though I found myself torn between the excitement of starting fresh and the desire for everything to feel just right. Halfway through the project, my parents visited to see the progress, their joy and gratitude filling me with a sense of purpose. Meanwhile, I noticed my husband had been visiting his parents almost every weekend lately. "Are you planning to visit your parents again this weekend?" I asked, curious about his frequent trips. "Yeah, I am," he replied, almost absent-mindedly. "I've noticed you've been visiting them a lot lately," I remarked, a bit unsure of the frequent visits. "I want to show them I appreciate them," he said. "That's why I've been making an effort to visit on my days off." Understanding his intentions, I asked, "Should I come along?" I was worried his parents might feel left out or disappointed, especially if they were hoping they'd be the ones to move in with us. I thought it might be a good idea to show goodwill by visiting them. But he reassured me, "It's fine, I can handle it," and left for his parents' house. I decided to respect his choice, promising to support him in whatever way he needed. As time flew by, our new house was finally ready, moving day arrived, and as we loaded up the car with boxes, I felt a rush of excitement about the fresh start ahead. Pulling up to the house, I could barely contain my enthusiasm. "Wow, our new home," I exclaimed, overcome with emotion. It felt like the beginning of something truly special. I began daydreaming about our future there, cooking meals while watching my husband play with our future children in the yard, hosting family barbecues. These thoughts only fueled my excitement even more. Just then, my parents called. They were supposed to move in with us, but they were delayed. I replied, "Tiffany, you have excellent taste," my mother-in-law complimented, her voice warm with approval. "Well, I suppose I can give her some credit for that," I said, nodding gratefully, but to my shock, they began unloading an enormous amount of luggage from their car. Confused, I quickly asked, "Mother-in-law, father-in-law, why do you have so much stuff? What are you planning to do?" Their response completely blindsided me. "What do you mean? We're moving our things into this house," they said nonchalantly. "You're planning to live here starting today, but you'll need to ask your parents to leave." My heart sank, and disbelief crept into my voice. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, frustration bubbling up. My mother-in-law's explanation came quickly. "As a new bride, it's customary to prioritize your husband's family." The words hit me like a punch to the gut, leaving me struggling to process the unexpected shift in our plans. The joy of our new home seemed to fade as family expectations and my own carefully laid out dreams collided. Desperate for support, I turned to my husband, but when his parents declared their intent to move in, he simply sighed and said, "Just let your parents know gently." I felt my world tilt. This house was meant for me and my parents. I protested, "I can't accept this decision." His frustration was clear. "Didn't my mom just explain? It's natural for a wife to prioritize her husband's family. We can deal with your parents later." I was stunned. It became painfully obvious that my husband was either heavily influenced by his parents or shared their views, which now seemed to be entirely in their favor. "Come on, help with the moving," he urged, as his parents began unloading their belongings, before my parents or I had even set foot inside the house. "Oh, it's just beautiful, the interior is so lovely," they exclaimed, eagerly exploring the house. I couldn't hold back anymore. "Do you even know whose house this is?" I asked, my voice tight with disbelief. "What?" they replied, clearly caught off guard. After a moment, they faced me, asserting, "Whose house? Of course, it's Jesse's house. Are you suggesting you have a claim to it?" My anger flared. "Since you and Jesse are living here and he's put so much into this house, you have no right to claim anything without hearing us out first," I said, feeling my frustration grow. It seemed they had jumped to conclusions, blaming me without knowing the full story of how we had financed the house. "Why would your parents live in Jesse's house in the first place?" they questioned, their tone now laced with scorn. "Yes, it's strange. Poor Jesse, stuck with such a demanding wife and parents," they added, clearly mocking. I felt myself reaching my breaking point. Why am I being criticized for their misunderstanding? "If you plan to live here, then Jesse should make up for the costs," I shot back. "I've contributed to this house," I said, facing their disbelief head-on. "How much are you claiming to have paid?" "Maybe a small amount, $100? They mocked, their disbelief palpable. My husband, looking visibly uncomfortable, stayed silent. I turned to him, demanding, "Are you being honest? How high and mighty do you think you are?" He hesitated, clearly unsure of how to respond. "What are you insinuating?" my mother-in-law demanded, her voice turning stern. Noticing my husband's hesitation, I decided it was time to set the record straight. "I paid for this house entirely with my savings," I said firmly. "If you plan to live here, I expect you to repay me $460,000 for the cost of the house." The room went still. My in-laws were stunned, their mouths hanging open, eyes wide in shock. They quickly turned to my husband, searching for confirmation. "Jesse, is this true? Did Tiffany buy this house?" they asked, their voices filled with disbelief. My husband nodded, though it was barely noticeable. Yes, Tiffany bought the house. She was promoted recently and now earns more than I do. Then, with a hint of regret, he added, but I made a huge mistake at work. I can't be promoted anymore, and my pay got cut. I'm now earning as much as a new employee. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, no one spoke. It was a revelation none of us had expected, and the weight of it settled heavily in the room. My in-laws, now fully processing the situation, looked at me with a mix of disbelief and understanding. Their attitude toward me shifted dramatically, though I could still sense the remnants of their discomfort. Tiffany, we're truly sorry for what we said earlier. We misunderstood everything. Please forgive us and let us stay in this house. My in-laws pleaded, their voices full of regret and apology. My husband, too, bowed deeply. Please, it's my fault for not telling you sooner. Let us stay here with you. Their sudden shift in demeanor, full of regret, took me by surprise. Despite their apologies, I stood firm. No matter how much you beg, I can't accept this. I built this house for me and my parents. If that's not possible, then there's no point in keeping it. If you want to live here, you'll need to pay me $460,000. Their faces fell as they responded, we don't have that kind of money. Then it seems you'll need to find somewhere else to go, I said, my tone resolute. Wait, they interjected, their desperation growing. We sold our previous home and moved out. When they realized that they could be evicted from our new house, they became even more frantic. Tiffany, please let us stay. Your parents can live with us too, they begged. The thought of living under one roof with both sets of parents seemed completely overwhelming to me. I can't agree to that. If you sold your house, you must have some savings left. Why not use that to find a flat? I asked. Tears welled up in their eyes. The truth is, we lost a lot in a bad investment. The money from selling our house, plus our retirement savings, all went into paying off that debt. We have nothing left. I'm retired, and my wife can't work at her age. You're our only hope, they confessed, their voices tinged with despair. Despite their heartfelt plea, I couldn't ignore the fact that this situation stemmed from their own financial mismanagement. If you need help, shouldn't you be asking your son for support? I'm not in a position to take on this responsibility, I replied. Aren't we family too? They asked, their voices shaking with emotion. That's too much to ask, I said, standing firm. Can't you at least find some way to help yourself?